Back in June 2017, I made my first ever individual trip to New Haven, Connecticut for a nursing program through National Student Leadership Conference, also known as NSLC. During my 8 days away from my family and life in a small town in Michigan, there was a day trip planned for the nursing program to go to New York City and explore Times Square and a portion of the Big Apple. The bus ride was quite long. What was supposed to be a 90-minute ride into the city turned into about 2.5 hours. You know how movies set in New York, there's always a crazy amount of traffic? And it's basically bumper to bumper? Yeah, it's real. The ride was fun though, no matter what. I sat next to who was basically my best friend during the trip, Zoe. She's from Colorado, and her dad lives in Michigan, actually, which is about an hour away from where I live.
I don't want to kill you. I just want you to go. Just this way. Oh. You're making a mess.
During the ride, she was telling me all about this guy she had met at one of the socials, who she inevitably had made me meet because she wanted to set us up. Once we got into New York, I kept checking the geotags on Snapchat because I wanted to get pictures of the view from each city I could. I only managed to get a picture from Manhattan and a video from Harlem. We also passed a place called Jack Russell's Pub, and it made me laugh because my little brother's name is Jack Russell, which makes me think, what are my parents thinking? But then we made it to our first activity, the Rockefeller Center. We were scheduled to go to the top of the Rock, which I learned is across the street from Radio City Music Hall. We had to walk up a long spiral staircase, but in the end it was completely worth it because the view was incredible. The skyline is jaw-dropping. I took a lot of pictures up there. My favorite one is me looking at the skyline with the Empire State Building. I made sure I got a picture with Zoe, but then I also asked my party buddy, Robin, along with Anne, for a picture as well. The top of the Rock was a really cool experience, and I love thinking back at the view and how big New York City really is. After that, we walked as a group to Bryant Park. Once we got there, we listened to the TAs explain our boundaries and our rules. After that, we got to split apart. We had to be in at least groups of 3, but Zoe and I were going to go off on our own until another group asked if we wanted to join them. That group consisted of Amanda, Holly, Brianna, and Alyssa. We all talked about some of the places we definitely had to visit. Our first stop was to Carlos Bakery. It looked a lot more modern than I expected, but I loved it nonetheless. We walked in and there was a line, but it was fine, and it went by fast. I had ordered a cannoli and a chocolate cupcake, which were in fact quite delicious. Our next stop was the Hard Rock Cafe. I had never been to one, but I was in awe with how awesome the interior truly was. We all sat down to eat, and I wasn't very hungry, so I decided to just get a milkshake and fries. It was really good, and I enjoyed my food. As we waited for our food, Zoe and I walked back to the front because she had wanted to get a t-shirt, and there was this guy dancing, and it was really interesting, and I wish I had videotaped it. Once we had all eaten and paid, we had left to go find the Disney store. On our way to the Disney store, we did find some souvenir shops, and I bought my siblings some keychains and a hat for myself. We all spent a lot of time in the gift shop, joking around and genuinely enjoying living in the moment. Once we paid and left, we all made our way to the Disney store. Right when I walked in, I heard music from the movies. Did you know that the store has 2 floors? We rode the escalator up, and it was themed like the movie Tangled, and I was really happy because that's the Disney princess I would be, because technically Tinkerbell isn't a princess. While we were on the 2nd floor, the fire alarm kept going off, but no one moved, and it was not pleasant to hear. We left shortly after because the store was mainly just selling children's costumes, and I don't fit in those anymore, although in the past I have dressed up as Disney princesses multiple times. After we left the store, we only had so long before we had to get back to Bryant Park. We stopped at Sephora to look at makeup. No one bought anything, but it was really cool to see a giant store full of makeup in all the vibrant colors. We made our way back to Bryant Park before the time we were supposed to be there. Once everyone arrived, we waited for our bus. The bus was late, but everyone was enjoying talking to each other and just socializing. The bus eventually had arrived, and since we had extra room on our bus, some of the people from the Lawn Advocacy program came onto our bus. I'm really happy the other program had to merge with us on a bus because from that, I had met one individual who's became one of my best friends, Sunil Suprinan. On the bus ride, I heard his rant about how cheesecake is a superfood, which I agree with, how he's a swimmer, how driving is in Maryland, and that he had a mock trial approaching that he needed to work on. He also has the most stylish pair of shorts ever, and is genuinely one of the kindest human beings I've ever met. Overall, my experience in New York City was one that I'm never going to forget and one that I would definitely never trade for anything.